Hi, guys. Welcome to the Design Exchange with Danny Russo and Melinda Peters Elliott. Melinda is out today, so I brought on one of my very good friends to talk about a subject that's very dear to my heart. Her name is the amazing Camille Cower. She's an actress du jour. She's going to be hosting the red carpet for the NFL Hall of Fame Awards. And I know that she doesn't even know where Ohio is, but I guarantee you she doesn't know that the Football Hall of Fame is actually in Canton, Ohio. So hopefully she can use that as a fun fact in her red carpet hosting. But you may have seen her on Dawson's Creek or in numerous different commercials. She's been a friend of the show for a while, and she's been one of my great friends for the past, what, 3, 4 years?
I'm not aging myself. I just
Okay.
met you.
um,
Like, got to
so
start off light because we're getting ready to go heavy. So,
yeah,
yeah. But
I wanted to
just to
start off.
correct you a little bit, I'm not doing it's Hall of Famers for the Super Bowl. So,
Oh, the
yeah.
Super
So,
Bowl Hall of Fame.
yeah, yeah,
Are you
yeah.
going to get to go to the game?
No, I mean,
They're charging
I
like,
dropped hints like hard because I was like, I don't even need to see the game. I just want to be there for the halftime show.
use your media pass.
No, but they're being super strict with it. I should. Oh,
You
it's
can't
all.
see
See,
mine.
that's why I don't use blur, man. You can't use your props
Hey,
because I'm so annoyed by my outlet being in the picture, and
you're fine.
nothing I can do about it because I want to use props.
So I wanted to bring you on today because I wanted to talk about something that only I could really talk to you about, and that is depression or mental health, mental wellness, and the fact that it affects all of us, especially in the design world. A lot of us have ADHD. Um, a lot of us go through ups and downs with clients. Like some days we're depressed, some days we're not. I can't speak on depression because uh, that's one thing I do know I don't have. Because as you know me, I love people, I love talking, I love meeting new people.
But that's not. But
And
that's the thing. A
yeah,
lot of times people think that depression means that you're always sad or that you're not an extrovert, but it could be
that's
those
not
times when you're
necessarily
not.
true.
Yeah, like like how, because who would have thought with Chesley,
Yeah.
she just met Denzel Washington like a couple of weeks ago. She was interviewing him.
So we're
So yeah.
talking about um, Cheslie Kryst, right? Kryst,
Yeah.
not Chris. Cheslie Kryst.
Don't
So
ask me. I'm dyslexic. Everybody's names I butcher. So
she's a former Miss
CK to
North
me.
Car- she's
Yeah.
a former Miss North Carolina, and she's a former Miss USA. And was it this week or last week that she
Something.
decided to end her life by um, jumping off of a balcony in Florida? Is that
No.
correct? Can
No.
you correct me on? Because I
That's
just
okay.
correct me.
She I mean, I guess it's not allegedly, but she jumped from her home in New York City.
Oh, in New York City. I was wondering. So we've all know. I think we've all known somebody that's committed suicide in the past. I happen to know two specific people that jumped off balconies in Florida, so that's why I said that. And these were people that were very strong personalities, and I would never imagine that they would have done that. Now, jumping off a building in New York City, those are pretty big buildings,
Yeah. And
and
hers was huge. I think they
that's
said 60, a
oh my
60-foot
God.
building, but they didn't say where. And so even still, it's like, yeah, it's
But
devastating.
it makes me, yeah, it is devastating. It makes me sad, so sad to hear that because she was such a beautiful person. She was only 30 years old. She had a great career ahead of her. You've had her on your podcast, and I listened to that. And she was just so well articulated. You had asked her about media training and all kinds of stuff in that realm.
I
And
mean, when you have
she,
Miss USA on, you have to ask all the questions because they're so trained in interview that not only is it going to be very poignant and to the point, but she has an MBA, she has a law degree. She didn't
yeah,
get there being a dummy, and she was a D1 track athlete, a
yeah,
jumper for that matter. So it's like she was, oops, somebody's got a fan. Caller, what's,
I know.
I'll help you out.
And I don't even know how to shut the phone off.
That's the joy of landlines. Just unplug it.
I just did. Nobody calls us. Um,
Lose his best client. Just kidding.
So I'm just listening to the voicemail and it's saying your Google listings at risk. I'm
Oh
like,
boy.
what's
Well,
next?
at
You
least
want
it
to sell me your
wasn't out
car
of
warranty?
warranty. Oh,
I was, but no, we're talking about very
jinx.
serious situation, and I
Yeah.
always interject humor into
Same.
situations.
That's why we're friends, because
Yeah,
yeah, we can make light
but
of hard situations.
yeah, and this is it's a serious situation, and I really think I try to r- tell people to always reach out. Don't be embarrassed about it because 1 in 10 Americans suffer from some sort of depression, whether it's anxiety. There's something called general anxiety disorder, whether it's a major depressive disorder. If you end up calling somebody, or if you were even to call the 911 and say that you were suicidal, they'll automatically pick you up and put you into, oh my God, I'm trying to stop this. They
You're
will
gonna have
put
so
you
much fun
into,
editing.
yeah, they're going to put you into, um, they'll have you in a psych ward and have you see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But there's so many resources out there that people don't know about.
Right.
Um, the National Suicide Prevention Line is, they're open 24/7, and they're I'm going to give you their phone number right now. So write
Okay.
this down just in case you want somebody to talk to. The National Suicide Prevention Line's 1-800-273-8255.
And
And
there's also
that's,
a text one too.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
text, and it's even, I mean, call your friends and let them know. Don't be embarrassed about having a mental disorder. There's such a stigma that revolves around mental illness. And it is not a bad thing to uh, to reach out and say, hey, like, we all went through COVID in 2020, and there were so many
Still
times
going through
where
it in some
we're still,
places.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
But there's so many times where people they got so down, and I think they actually came up with a term for it. But I remember that I got really depressed during COVID because my passion is doing design, and when COVID happened, all my projects canceled. I wasn't able to do design. And I immediately called my family practice doctor and told her what I was going through. And she had helped me, and she said a lot of her patients were going through that. But like I said, I wasn't afraid to reach out um,
Right.
and talk to her. Um, but like I said, 1 in 10 Americans, the 18 million adults have some sort of depression, and that's about 1 in 10 Americans. And it's okay to be depressed. It's okay to have a bad day. But I mean, if you're on the, if
Can you
you're
unplug the
thinking of,
phone?
I am, um,
It is
if you,
Friday.
how do I just hit, can you unplug the phone? I don't even know who's
I
calling
mean,
me. I
I'm
did.
almost jealous that that many people call you.
It's all
Speaking of reaching out, they're
telemarketers.
like, we're reaching out right now.
Okay, phone line fell. Um,
I
but
just
yeah,
don't.
there's so many resources out there for you, and don't be afraid to talk to your doctor and reach out. What
Yeah.
what's your opinion on the situation?
Well, I've experienced, or I've had qualifiers, I guess would be the term for people that have um, chosen suicide as the form to end their lives. And since middle school, I remember this boy I had a crush on, Josh Love. He committed suicide. And I think he was like, and he was the most popular kid. He hung out with all the other good looking guys at my school. And then, and my, right before my freshman year of college, I had lost my boyfriend to being murdered. And then, like, a couple of months later, I found out that my ex that I had dated over the summer, who always threatened, if you leave me, I will kill myself. He did. He had an overdose. And so, I mean, by that point, I mean, I was like months, maybe
Was it
almost a year after the fact.
an intentional
I don't
overdose?
know. I mean, at that point, it was like, why reach out and find out now? Because I was in college. He was still in his hometown. Like, I didn't know for a long time, and nobody reached out to tell me. And a few years later, some of his friends that I had mutual friends are like, we don't blame you anymore for his suicide. And I was like, why did you ever blame me? What
I
did you want it to
know.
be? A murder suicide? Like, come on. He was,
Um,
he had a lot of anger issues. But then
Since we're
even within
being
my
very
family,
honest and talking
yeah,
about this situation,
of
I
course. What
had
else do we have to be?
uh, it's when I don't I okay, I don't date girls, so that's let's just throw that out there.
Wait,
But
breaking news. Danny is doesn't date girls.
breaking news. So Danny did date girls in high school, and girls were like, if you're going to break up with me, I'm going to kill myself. I just can't live without
Mm,
you. Sometimes that's an empty threat. Well, she happened to take a bottle of Tylenol and really did nearly try to commit suicide. And we, I shouldn't have had a girlfriend to begin with because I knew I was gay. But um, when you
it
end
was a
up doing
different
that,
time too.
and yeah, it was a totally different time. You end up in the hospital and they put you on a 3-day hold where you're not allowed to talk to anybody so that the doctors can evaluate you to see if it's a real suicide or not. But people do have something called suicidal thoughts and
Mm,
suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts and ideations, which means bipolar is more common than people think. Um, and somebody that has bipolar disorder or some sort of schizophrenic disorder, they may hear voices in their head that are telling them to commit suicide and telling them to do things that aren't normal. And if you are somebody that's having those things, you really want to see somebody and talk to somebody and like talk to a doctor because there are treatments out there that are available. You're not going to suffer your whole life with it. And I'm coming from a place where my father, and I don't tell many people this at all, but my father had schizophrenic disorder and he refused to take his medication. And there's all sorts of different schizophrenias. You can have paranoid schizophrenia. You can have, I'm not fluent on all of them, but I just know the situation that I was in or he was in. But it was debilitating to him where he had to go on to disability. And that happened when I was 9 years old, and he refused to take medication. And before he had passed, literally just the year before he had passed, I was trying to reach out and be like, "Hey, can I get you in with one of the psychiatrists that I know?" And I
yeah.
wondered at that point, he was in his late 40s, early 50s, and I wondered if he did go on medication because the biggest thing with somebody who does have a depression disorder or an antipsychotic disorder, there are treatments out there that they're monthly treatments because one of the hardest things to do is to get somebody to take their medication. Um, and not only take their medication, but go see somebody and tell them what the problem is. But
Right.
there are treatments out there that are once a month where they're injectable and you can get taken care of like that. But it's always very important to reach out to any kind of therapist. There's so many different types of therapists. You have psychotherapists, um, regular therapist, psychologist, uh, social
Social
worker. But
worker,
yeah,
therapist. Yeah.
um, I'm trying to think. There's even adolescent psychiatrists, and they're
Mhm.
really hard to find right now. So telemedicine's really important, and you always, my opinion, you should start with your internal medicine doctor. But substance abuse is a big thing as well, and can cause um, that can
Or they
cause a lot of
sometimes self
people.
medicate too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes that could throw somebody into that realm of being suicidal when they're really not. It's like a
Hmm.
self-induced
So,
hallucination.
yeah, I
I
want to
don't,
speak
I
about
can't,
that for a second because I was on a medication after my attack where I won't go into what, but um, I had to take medication that prevents AIDS because of my attack, and the
yeah.
medication made me suicidal. And that was the first time I'd ever experienced anything like that. And I didn't know it was my medication. And I didn't leave my house. I had a great job as a pharmaceutical sales rep in LA, and my territory was like all the way down to Long Beach, all the way up to, I was always this
Oh,
outgoing
you got to
person.
see the fun, crazy people.
Yeah. And well, all the way down to Long Beach, all the way out to Inland Empire. And I only
Yeah.
dealt with plastic surgeons, and I got to do all these wonderful parts of my job. And then that attack happened, and I had to get on the medication because he was a drug user. And so, like,
That's,
that was part of the precautions with what happened to me. And so, like, that medication, I mean, it messed with my mind so much. So it gave me like a greater understanding about suicide, because before I always thought of it as being, oh, that's so selfish. Like you could always live
I
another
hate
day.
I
You could
hear
do that
people
for your
say that.
family, but
I
it's
hate when people
not.
say that it's
Yeah, like
selfish
it's the opposite
because
because they feel like there's such a burden that they can't go on
we don't know how they feel, but
sometimes.
that's, I mean, you're right about that.
Hmm.
But I mean, don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Like this
Yeah.
girl, like you said, she was an attorney. She was to go through the Miss America pageant system or the
Yeah.
Miss USA
And she did
pageant
Miss
system.
America too. She no, she did
She
both,
went
but
she went through,
yeah.
yeah, you go through media training in those, you go through all kinds of stuff
And her mom had won previously
to
as
do
well
that.
in 2002, so she had like perfect role models of encouragement. She so many of my friends also had relationships with her, and she would let them follow her as an attorney if they were interested in becoming an attorney. She was involved with Dress for Success, and she did all these different conferences to
Now,
really encourage confidence and so on. So
I believe Dress for Success
yeah.
has a portion of their they have some programs that treat for especially for women. There
Hmm.
they have treatment programs,
Yeah,
um, and you can reach out to them. But
it's a great
pay attention
organization.
to your
Yeah,
mental health. Um,
absolutely.
always like it's always good to do something for yourself. Like I've been so stressed out lately because we've been busy, and my doctor was like, take 10 minutes for yourself to do something. And I'm like, well, what? She's like, go for a walk. And I go, can I be on the phone when I go for a walk? Um,
As long as it's not a work call, right?
yeah,
Something
yeah,
for you fun.
yeah.
Me.
But I love doing these,
Yeah.
I love doing these podcasts with
That's what kept me from,
people,
I
and
think,
it's
losing my mind was starting my podcast during the pandemic because
really,
I'm a stay-at-home mom, basically. I only worked 1 or 2 days a
and
week with
you're not
acting
just any
or a month.
podcaster.
Yeah.
Your podcast is the E Spot. You should follow it. And she has a video, she has video and audio. She's the podcast queen. She taught me how to do a lot of what I do. But Camille, how can people find you
Yeah, they can always go
on
to my
the
website,
on the
camillecoward.com, and I have all the links, and I even have all of my interviews on there, or you can just Google me and find it. And a lot of people have been watching the interview I did with Miss Chelsea, and you can, Miss Chelsea, Miss USA Chelsea, and you can find that on YouTube as well.
but
And it's a great interview because she talks about so many different things, even
she
for
was so
herself.
bubbly. I
Yeah.
watched it this morning. She was so bubbly and she seemed so happy. And I remember when she won. And I remember when when you had her on, you were so excited to have her on.
I brought my daughter around because they had the
Yeah.
same hair, and every time I would meet her, I'd always ask her like, "Okay, so what are you doing with your hair now?" And I followed all her TikToks and everything. Like like every morning, she was part of my morning coffee almost to like watch because she would talk about the microaggressions that Black women go through. She would talk about the different things that I remember in my day, you dare not speak, especially
Right.
not in public, because what if you didn't get a job or what if they thought you were being aggressive? Like, there's a lot of pressure. And then even last night, I was watching, there was Soul of a Nation for Black actresses, and they were, Halle Berry said something so poignant. She's like, it's a lot of people, when people assume you're beautiful, they assume you can't have anything else wrong in your life. It's a lot
Oh,
of, and they also assume that you're not smart. Like, you can't be sad. You can't have anything else wrong with you. And that's a lot to have because even when people were messaging me condolences and so on, it was like she was so beautiful, and it's like your beauty. I mean, that's just genetics. You have nothing to do with that. That doesn't change who you are on the inside or
yeah.
how you're feeling. And just like as beautiful as you are, if you break an arm, if you break a leg, it's the same thing. It needs to heal. It needs to get fixed. It doesn't change. It's not, it affects no matter if you're rich, poor. I mean, Robin Williams, like it affects
Oh,
all
that
people,
he was
all
so
races. Yeah.
talented.
So
But
talented.
you
Yeah.
can almost get trapped in talent.
Hmm.
Like people don't understand, like even so me
The
as a designer,
pressure. Yeah.
I'm under so much pressure when I'm going to markets and talking to so many people. And you've been in
It,
market with me.
yeah. It
You've
sucks
seen
energy out of you. How do you
it.
recover?
Oh, I have to take a, I have to take my Danny days, and I recover. You were with me. The one I was your
Mhm.
assistant on that trip when we stayed at the
Ah,
Virgin
I need
Hotel
you
at the pool.
again.
Yeah,
Meet me at the Super Bowl.
yeah, I want to go,
Right?
but
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I only want to go for the halftime show.
Dude.
Um, but that's gonna be you're
And
gonna have fun just being there. That
I
stadium is
am.
just
And
beautiful.
it's beautiful. And to see my dad too. Speaking of, like he's older and He's isolated, so it's like it just makes me feel better if I can see him and know that he's okay. Because he sounds
Yeah,
okay over the phone, but you just never know what people are going through. And to be able to, like, when they called me for work to go out there, it's like, of course I'll go because I get to see my dad and hang out with them for a few days just to check
yeah.
in on him. Yeah,
Are you
check in on your
taking
people.
are you taking your daughter with you?
I can't. She's got school.
Wow.
Granted, who knows? I may pull her. I don't know. Because part of
I
me is
love
like, she
her.
should see her dad too. I mean, my granddad
Yeah.
for her, but
Yeah, she
they get
should.
along really well. So it's like, oh.
I
But
would definitely take, if I were you, I'd definitely take her. I think they're finally plowing my parking lot.
oh,
Uh,
nice. Hey, maybe it won't take you so hard long to leave. But
no,
you
I've been
know,
here all day.
what are some of your coping techniques? You know what
I
I'm trying to
try to
say.
really
I'm
take
tongue tied.
time for myself. And I mean, my passion is my career. So we're growing like crazy. I'm in my newly renovated office. That's what I did last week.
Nice.
So I got to work on some amazing projects going on right now. Um, I'm doing a couple restaurants that are going to be really cool. And we're going the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. We're going to go to High Point. It's April 2nd.
Yay!
Um,
I'll be there as well.
how far are you from there? Because you want me to do
Like an
stuff at your
hour and a half.
house.
Yeah, I do.
I
I want
wonder
you to
if I
come.
should. I haven't booked my ticket yet, but
Perfect.
we need to
Come
talk
through Raleigh.
later today, and I can. Yeah, I can fly into what's it called, and then
RDU.
yeah, and then fly out of
Or
Raleigh.
whatever is High Point. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
High,
You just do the right RDU both
yeah,
times. Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Again,
That's
Camille
it.
Cower, follow her. She's an award-winning um, podcaster, video blogger. Even you've had a radio show that you've had me on
Yeah, I was on
ESPN,
ESPN.
ESPN radio. I show up in the weirdest places,
I
but
know.
Camille's
Yeah.
a great friend. Again, I'm going to give you this number. It is for the National Suicide Prevention Line, 1-800-273-8255. And you can always reach out to me, myself, or
Or you.
Camille.
Yeah.
Um, you can follow me on Instagram at Daniel Russo Home. Um, and follow the Design Exchange podcast. I think we're on Instagram as TDX Podcast. But Camille, thank you so much for coming on for this
It's my pleasure.
elaborate series. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but I think this was a great topic. And remember, always, always, always be happy, reach out to people, and
Yeah.
don't be afraid
Yeah,
of,
it's okay to not be okay,
yeah,
but
it's okay to
it's
not,
not okay to not let somebody know that you're not okay that can possibly help you out of it. Because they don't
exactly.
always have to be trained. Just because I did mental health first aid class, and one of the things they taught us was like like just straight out ask someone. So if you think somebody's having a hard time, just straight up, are you having suicidal thoughts? Because even
Yeah,
that can like bring it up to their awareness, like, whoa, I am thinking something a little heavier. Maybe and it's noticeable, and maybe I do need help. And make
exactly.
sure when you're going through these things that you don't call people that might discount what you're going through by saying, oh, you'll be fine, or you're just okay, just shake it
Yeah,
off. Know the right people to call for those things too, because
yes.
it makes a difference. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I brought that up.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
so much for
follow
coming
me.
on. I
It's my
can't wait
pleasure.
to hear your Super Bowl. When is the Super Bowl? Is it this Sunday?
It's next Sunday, the
Okay.
13th.
I will be on my way back from Florida. So that'll be interesting. I'm going on our friend Trisha's boat, so that's my
Our
first
friend? You mean
vacation.
your
Our
friend?
friend.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Our
She's
friend.
fine. She's fine. I'm just joking with you.
All right. Well, I love you and thank you
I
so
love you
much for
too.
coming on this morning at the last minute. I'll call you later.
Okay, I'll be
Love you,
ready.
girl.
Bye. Love you
Bye.
too.